Welcome class to the Ecology and Evolution of Coral Reef course. Before we start, I would like to remind you that there is a Dropbox folder that I left for you. In that folder you will find all the specific information that you need to know about the structure of the course and also about the specific details regarding the methodology that we are going to be using to evaluate your performance during the semester. Why Ecology and Evolution of Coral Reef? The philosophy of this course is quite simple. We cannot understand the present nor make predictions about the future if we don't understand the past. We need to understand the evolutionary history of coral reef and biogenic reefs if we are going to predict how coral reef are going to respond in a changing world. Yes, you have a question?
Yeah, you just said the word, I don't know what that means, the word biogenic reefs?
Yeah, a biogenic reef is a reef produced or built by calcifying organisms, which is different from coral reef because coral reef are built by corals, right? During the course we are going to revise and we are going to realize that, that coral reefs are relatively new compared to other biogenic reefs that are older and they have been there for longer periods of time in the fossil record. Is that clear?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, a coral reef is a deposit of calcium carbonate made primarily by corals. They are extremely biodiverse and they are only comparable in terms of biodiversity to tropical rainforests. However, bear in mind that coral reefs occupy an area much less extensive compared to tropical rainforests. Coral reefs only are located in about 2% of the total area of the ocean. They only cover about 2% of the total area of the ocean. What I'm saying here, that the message that I'm trying to convey is that we have an explosion of biodiversity in a very, very small area. The reason for that is complex and needs to take into account a series of geological and ecological processes that have occurred for thousands of millions of years. So, if we look at this chart published by Wood in 1999, what we see is that major reef builders, which are represented here, have changed during the whole evolutionary history of the planet. And that happened at different environments, from the deep ocean, shallow water, up to stream environments, right? So the oldest coral reef, the oldest biogenic reefs, that we have, were made by cyanobacteria. Corals started to build reefs during the Devonic. However, these corals were quite different compared to the Scleroptenian corals that evolved during the Cretacic period. And then they become dominant in shallow water environments, but only in recent times. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. If we look into more detail the evolutionary history of reefs made by corals, it is clear that Tabulata and Rugosa dominated the scene from the Ordovician up to the Permian period. And during the Triassic, the Scleroptenian corals started to evolve to become the most important reef builders today. Is there any question about this chart?
Yeah, I see like little question marks. What or the little asterisks? What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a gap in the fossil record. Remember that we are talking about calcifying organisms. Sometimes we don't have records for that specific period, but in spite of those black boxes, we can construct, or we can rebuild the evolutionary history or geologic history of reefs.
Okay.
So this is some sort of puzzle, and we are sorry about this. And we are reconstructing the past. Okay.
Also, the white of the color of the graph, I don't know. Does that mean that there were more individuals in that time, like more corals or another thing?
Okay, that's actually a good question. The thickness of each of these figures represent either the abundance of each group or the diversity of that group.
Oh, okay.
So what this graph shows is that these groups during the Carboniferous, for example the Rugosa, were extremely diverse, and they were very important to build reefs at that period of time.
I see.
Okay. Your question helps me to introduce the length as well as a meaning. The length means the temporal extent. That those groups were found in the fossil record. Okay. So if we look into the distribution of biogenic reef over the past 25 million years, it is clear that not only their composition but also their distribution have changed. The solid red line here represents the present distribution of coral reef in the present. Okay? And as you can see, they are distributed between 30 degrees of latitude north and south. And during the past times, they have, moved upwards or downwards depending on a variety of forces, including plate tectonics, changes in oceanographic patterns, climate change, particularly the glacial and interglacial periods, levels of CO2 in the atmosphere, etc., etc. We are going to discuss much more that in detail in other classes, but bear in mind that there are a lot of processes and forces that have changed the distribution of reefs throughout the evolutionary history of the planet. So the current distribution of coral reef is very limited. Like I said before, they are distributed between 30 degrees of latitude north and south. And today we have 4 different bioregions. They are different in terms of the faunas that dominate these reefs. The first one is the Eastern Pacific, then we have the Western